Good morning, everybody. How are you? Happy Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday out where I live. It's nice and sunny out. I hope the same for you. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. It's so good to see everyone. So good to see Instagram filling up and the chat and the chat filling up and YouTube also filling up. So many good things to talk about to start off the weekend. It's a nice Saturday, so we're gonna just kind of ease into the conversation, have ourselves a nice, positive conversation for our Saturday morning. I'm already seeing people in the chat. Brohan understood the assignment because he has already introduced himself as being from Vizag, India. So he knows that we always start off with our global roll call. I'd like to hear what city, state, province, country you're from. Let me know where you're checking in from. It's good for us to see the global data science community. I also enjoy traveling, so it's great to see people from all over the world. I'm also seeing people from different platforms. Hello, Rex, my good friend. He's checking in on Twitch, so it's good to see that. So really just looking forward to seeing how everybody's doing. So please don't be shy. Please let me know where you're checking in from, and we can kind of again just see where everybody from the community is joining. So many things happening at all times in data science, so many things to consider. And that's really one of the reasons why I've been working so hard at lining up some more content for you guys. I have some really good content coming up, especially in August, which is really just a couple days away. I mean, August is almost upon us. So I wanted to share with you guys, start giving you some sneak peek here. It looks like I need to refresh my feed on my monitor. Give me just a second, guys. I'm trying to show you my second monitor, but I intend to show you a different view. Here we go. All right. So, for August, I have some really great content coming up. What I've done is I've reached out to my previous colleagues, because I have a long history of working for a large number of companies. And I've asked them, hey, do you want to come on to my live stream? Do you want to record some content with me? Do you want to, meet some other data scientists and share your wisdom with them? And they've been very generous in saying yes. So I'm going to have some other folks come in and talk on the live streams. That way all of you can also hear a different voice. But up on the screen right now is going to be my first guest. He's going to be joining us on August 1st, which is a Thursday. So, write that down in your calendars. Make sure you don't miss that stream. August 1st, my friend Kyle is going to come join us. He is a bank and audit executive that I worked with for a few years. Oh, and here's the thing, guys. I don't have anybody less than a director lined up to come and talk to you. I have nothing but directors and managing directors coming to meet with us. So it's going to be great. So Kyle is a managing director. He's based out of London, really smart guy. He's really one of those guys that understands data, understands analytics, understands audit, and really just understands the global banking structure. So he's going to be joining us. I think, we're going to have a great conversation, and he's willing to take on questions from all of you. So start getting your questions ready. He's going to be a great resource for everybody. August 15th, I'm going to have my friend Laura Sell join us. Laura Sell is a director. She works in wealth management. I've worked with her for a couple of years. She is also based out of London, just like Kyle is. Really smart, really gets it when it comes to platforms and development and addressing investor needs, client needs. Really understands data. So again, she's willing to generously volunteer her time to come and talk to all of us. She's open for questions, so we'll be able to ask her different questions. That way you guys have a different voice to hear other than me, because I think I'm aligned in the values that with them, and you'll hear some of the same values that I share with you. But it's good to hear from a different voice, from a different perspective, right? As scientists, we should always be open to different perspectives. So Laura Sell is going to be joining us on August 15th. Right now, I have been in conversations to bring on an HR analytics specialist. My friend Lynn, she was a managing director. So she'll be able to talk about more specialized analytics like HR analytics, or talk about, how to make the transition from academia into the real world. So I'm just really trying to bring different voices to give you different perspectives into how, kind of how to make that shift, how to make that change into the corporate world. So I'm really excited about that. Really excited to be, kind of bringing you that different type of content. I've reached out to my friends and they've all been enthusiastic. They all see what a great community all of you are. And just, really grateful that they're going to be coming on board. I think it's going to make for a really interesting August. I'm still working on other guests. Some people maybe are too shy to come on board. In turn, some of them are inviting me. I actually just got an invitation from an old colleague to come talk to their audit team. He leads an audit team based in India, so I'll be seeing if we can do a presentation for them. So really, just a lot of good stuff coming up. So if you're joining us right now a little bit later on Instagram, feel free to share your city, state, country, province. Love to hear from you guys, see where everybody is checking in from. Don't be shy. You don't have to be some amazing data scientist to join in and contribute to the conversation. I'm seeing more people on Instagram than they're introducing themselves, so maybe we have some shy people this morning, and that's okay. But it makes for better conversation when you guys, just kind of kick it off and let me know where you're from. So while I give you guys another minute to do that, guys, I did something really crazy today, something that's really not in my character this morning. So let me bring that up in my second monitor again. So, I know that, is that coming up properly? It is. So I know that collecting sneakers has become like a huge hobby in the past couple of years, right? I'm not somebody like that. I'm not really much of a sneaker guy to begin with. I'm not really much of a Nike guy to begin with. But I saw these shoes, and I saw them earlier this week. And I saw that the on sale was coming up. I didn't even know how popular it is, where you have to sign up ahead of time for the shoes and all that. There's I think Nike calls it like an inline system or something, where you have to set up your account all ahead of time, with all your shipping and all your credit card information and everything. And then you have to be there when they go on sale. So I did that this morning. These shoes went on sale this morning at 7 a.m. my time. I'm GMT minus 7, I think. And I just really like these shoes. I'm not much for Nikes, and I haven't owned a pair of Jordan shoes in a long time. But what do you guys think? I think these shoes are pretty cool, right? See, I like these because they're monochrome. They're just one color, right? And I don't like the shoes that are too flashy with too many colors. That's not me. But I ordered these, and I think they look great. So I hope they look as good in person. But if you guys are into shoes, let me know. Put a comment below. This is just completely out of character for me, so I thought I'd share with you guys. But yeah, this was one of my morning activities I did about an hour before I started streaming. So I just think that's kind of crazy. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. All right, so we're having some people check in. So let me go ahead and go to that. So Brohan, yes, my friend, you were first, and you were very early this morning. So thanks for coming, Rohan from Vizag, India. Did I end up I can't remember. I know I asked you, but I can't remember if I got an answer from you on where Vizag is in India. I can't remember. I don't know that part of the country. So help me clarify that there. I don't think that's a coastal city, is it? Syed Hamad, hello sir, good morning, how are you? I was waiting for you. Well, thank you, Syed. Nice to see you again. I know you've been on the streams plenty of times before, so thanks so much for your continued support. Hope you're doing well. Hope everything is good in your part of the world. My good friend Rex, hello from Twitchland. Well, hello Rex, good to see you. I know you're from New York City, so glad you're here. And by the way, guys, Rex is also one of our great participants on our Discord. Let me bring that up. So if you guys want to join in our Discord, we've had some really great conversations with people posting videos, posting papers, posting articles they wrote, maybe looking for some feedback. We have what, 45 members on the Discord. And you know what, guys? Shame on me for my researcher bias. Because my researcher bias was that, I don't know, does anybody use Discord still? People aren't going to be interested in it. So shame on me for thinking like that, because I had this server running for a while. I taught myself all the Discord admin. I've never been an admin on Discord. But I didn't advertise it. I didn't send out the invites. So I'm glad I did. We're getting some great discussion on there. So if you're able to join us, please go ahead and join. The link is in my Instagram. in my Instagram stories under the socials highlight. Come join us. We've been having some great discussion. People posting, their different thoughts, their different, fears, and just different stuff about data science. And part of the scientific process is being open to discourse, being open to other people's views. Your view is not the only view out there. It's good to talk and see what other people's perspective. Hey, I see the problem this way. How do you see it? Oh, that's different than what I would have thought. That's a good perspective. That's very valuable conversation, a very valuable part of the data science process. So feel free to come in and join. Really great conversation. And again, shame on me for letting my own researcher bias, not launch this earlier. That's really on me. Oops, sorry about that. Clicked the wrong button. Vinod is checking in from Hyderabad, India. Welcome, Vinod. Nice to see you, my friend. Data Ashish, I know you've been a great supporter. So hi, Dennis. Happy to see you. Ashish here from Surat, Gujarat, India. Nice to see you, my friend. I hope you're well out there in India. I imagine India is very hot, right? El Esplendido says they even have a mock stock market for sneakers called StockX. Also not a big sneaker guy. Yes, El Esplendido, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a big supporter, and I think you're from Atlanta, if I remember right. Yeah, I learned about StockX just this week, and I learned about, what was the other one they sent me to? I went to some other website that also tracks like real-time pricing of these shoes. I guess people see them as an investment vehicle. I personally don't agree with that. But yeah, I guess some people do view it that way. For sure, the shoes are not cheap. But I'm just doing it because I just like the look, and just doing it for I like, right? There's other things that I like, and I kind of sort of invest in. But I subscribe to that thinking of you should only buy the things that make you happy, right? Don't buy it for an investment. Buy it because you inherently like it, and that's what I do. So I just like these shoes. I thought they were cool looking. Like I said, I like that they're just one color, because most sneakers now have so many colors and some plastic parts, and I don't like that. But yeah, I just like the shoes. But you're right. I did learn about StockX. Being a sneakerhead is like a big business now. A lot of people into that. But thanks for being here, Les Bandito. Asim, nice to see you. Welcome. Lahore, checking in from Lahore, Punjab, Pakistan. So nice to see you, my friend. What time is it in Pakistan right now? I think it's similar to India, right? The time zone. Let me know there, Asim. I think that generally speaking, this is a convenient time for Pakistan. So let me know what you think about the time zone here. Rex says, loving the engagement on Discord. Yeah, thanks so much, Rex. I'm loving it too. We have some really good participation. I love the fact that people are posting their own additional resources and their own thoughts. It's the community helping each other, right? And that's a beautiful thing. And like I said, super important for you to not be so rigid and not to be so dogmatic in your thinking with data science, right? You have to be open to other people's perspectives, because that's really important for you to be taking in as a researcher, right? So Discord is a really good platform for that. Like I said, I'm embarrassed that I didn't advertise it previously. I've had it ready for at least a month. Because when you're an admin, you got to give them your credit card and verifications and all that. So I've had it set up. But shame on me for not launching it earlier. But yeah, thanks, Rex. Thanks for being a great part of the community there. Abhishek, I believe Abhishek is referring to the Discord. I will join again after dinner. Yeah, Abhishek, feel free. I think I've seen you in there before, so feel free to share your thoughts and anything else you want to post in there. Asim says, I just joined Discord. Yeah, I just saw your icon pop up. So you're our 46th member. We had 45 when I started. You're number 46. So thanks for joining there. Syed says, I joined the Discord yesterday, but introduced myself there, just taking insight from your chats there. Yeah, and that's totally okay. If you just want to kind of hang back and just see what everybody's discussing, maybe you're still learning, totally okay. That's part of the learning process, to learn from other people. Sometimes you just need a different voice. You just need somebody to kind of explain things to you in a different way in order to understand them. So yeah, glad to see you're in there. I don't want anybody to ever feel in my live streams or in the Discord, I don't want anybody to feel like they have to post like a really insightful, deep question or something else like that. Just introduce yourself, just say hello, everybody's in a different part of their data science journey, so I want to keep things as inclusive as possible. So Syed says it's 8:15 p.m. in Pakistan. Okay, yeah, that's about the time I would have assumed for this time slot. I sat down with all my little time zones in my maps, and I thought, okay, 1500 GMT seems to be like a reasonable time for most people. The only exception really is Asia. It's not a great time for most people in the Asia region. It's a little late for them. But I ran a stream for them just this past Thursday. It was my Thursday night, their Friday morning. And that was great. We had some really great discussions, a lot of really good back and forth. So I might start doing that. And I think that time is also pretty good for some of you in India, maybe in the Middle East, like Dubai. I think that's a pretty good time for Dubai. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I went the wrong way. I should be going this way. It's a good time for people in India, in Australia. We had some Australian members join. I think Indonesia, it's also a really good time for people in Indonesia. So I'm going to try experimenting with some more times that are more friendly to the Asia time zones. But thanks for being here. 8:15 in Pakistan sounds like a reasonable time. Emmanuel Gartis, speak of the Australians and the Australian show up, right? Emmanuel joining from Darwin in Australia, past 12 midnight here. Yeah, Emmanuel, so that's why I'm going to try to do more of the Asia time zone streams, because when I did it, we did have, I think we had 2 or 3 people from Australia, because that is a more reasonable time for them. So thanks for joining, glad to have you here. But also keep an eye out for my streams that are roughly 12 hours from where it would be from where we are now. So it would be like noontime for you when I do it in Australia. But yeah, glad to see that you're here. Now, Darwin, Australia, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that's on the west coast of Australia. I know Sydney's on the east coast. I was in Sydney a couple years back, really had a great time there. But I think Darwin is on the opposite coast, yeah? Let me know. I'm still working on my Australia geography. Okay, so Yogendra Yadav he's coming in hot with the questions, guys. So if you guys want to do the questions, Yogendra is going to kick us off here. I want to become a data analyst. What should I have to study? Well, you shouldn't have to study anything. You should want to study the things that are interesting to you, right? There's a difference between having to do something versus wanting to do something, right? So I want to make sure that you are doing data analysts and data work in general because you find something inherently interesting, not just because you have to study it. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to establish, because as those of you who have seen my streams know that I'm very much an advocate of doing your passions, right? You got to do what you love. So let's make sure that that's the first thing, right? That you're doing it because you want to, because it's inherently interesting to you, right? As far as what to study for data roles, I have a video on this. I have a video on, it's called the Data Science Roadmap for Students. And it basically takes everything that I would be doing now in 2024 to study and get into the data world. And I'm doing that based on what I did, but I've updated it for the current day, right? Because I did it a long time ago, but some of those things still apply. So for example, in there, I talk about the degrees that you could be looking at, right? Because there really is no data analyst degree, right? Top one should be a dedicated data science degree if you are in a school that offers one. I understand that not all schools offer one. There may not even be a program available in your country, right? But if there's one available, data science. Second is applied statistics. And third is mathematics, hopefully some sort of applied mathematics, right? Some schools offer applied mathematics, some don't. So those are the 3 degrees that I recommend as your course of study. Because I'm assuming you're a student. If I'm incorrect on that, let me know. But those, generally speaking, those are the courses of study that you should be looking at to get into the data world. That's usually going to prepare you pretty well, right? We had some discussion on applied statistics, in the Discord earlier this week. So for example, in applied statistics, you're going to learn a lot of things, but you're also going to learn a lot about hypothesis testing. And hypothesis testing is kind of like the beginning of where, data science is, right? As far as, taking a hypothesis and proving it or disproving it, right? Most statistics programs are also going to have a course on regression methods. And regression methods is kind of like a lot of people's first modeling effort, right? Regression methods is a model. So an applied statistics program is more likely than not going to have an entire class on that, right? So things like that are really important for that, all right? So those are the things I would encourage you to do, okay? But again, check out my video. It's on my YouTube. It's one of the first videos I ever made. It's 20 minutes long, plenty of information on there. And I always say this, there's also a coding challenge in that video. I've had hundreds of people watch that video. Nobody has come back with a coding challenge. If you do the coding challenge, see, now you got my attention, because now you're showing me you're serious. You're not just, oh, I want to get a data scientist because I can get a remote job. Okay, if you want to really show me you're serious, because I promise in the video to help people that do the coding challenge. Do the coding challenge, come back to me with that, okay? Okay, so Emmanuel Garty corrects me and says that Darwin is actually in the Northern Territory of Australia. Thank you so much for that. I really thought it was on the West Coast, but thank you so much for that. Hope you're well out there. Palki, good to see you. Palki, remind me where you're from again. I know you've been on the streams before. Thanks so much for being a continued supporter. If you're joining us late, let me know the city, state, province you're from. We always like to check in with each other and see what part of the world we're in. Okay, so Palki says, how is an AI engineer different from a data scientist? Is that more towards software engineering with AI skills? The difference between a data scientist and an AI engineer is web scraping. How's that for an answer? You know, I really think that's a lot of it, right? It's web scraping. I think I've shared this before, but I had a huge laugh. I was on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago, and I saw a job posting, and the job posting called it data acquisition specialist. It was an AI engineering job. It was for an AI startup, and they were looking for data acquisition specialists. Come on, that's a web scraping job, right? So I say that jokingly, Palki, but it's kind of true. The difference between a data scientist and an engineer is how much web scraping they're going to ask you to do. So let's take a step back. Let's take a serious way to answer your question. First of all, remember, data science is the overarching umbrella of everything that we do. All right? So regression approaches is one part of that. XG boosting is another part of that. Neural networks is another part of that. AI is another part of that, right? So you shouldn't be thinking about data scientist versus engineer. It's more about where does AI engineer fit into the greater data science world, right? In conjunction with that, when someone tells you that they're a data scientist, it just means that they work across all those disciplines, right? And that's the most common job, right? Sometimes you're working in regression, sometimes you're working in deep learning, sometimes you're working on other stuff, you know, sometimes you're working NLP, sometimes you're working computer vision, whatever the case may be, right? So data scientist really just says that you work across all of the different like sub-approaches, right? Is that more towards software engineering with AI skills? No. So let's break it down a little bit further. And if you guys don't know this already, I think this is really valuable for you guys to remember this. So write this down, okay? A lot of the current AI and a lot of the current tools, especially like Gen AI, is really just machine learning. More specifically, it's really neural networks. It's just neural networks applied in a different way. So don't get caught up in saying, well, I want to be a neural network specialist. No, I want to be an AI specialist. You're going to be still using the same skills, right? If you're new and you're still kind of learning, the item you want to Google is GANs, G-A-N-S, or it stands for Generative Adversarial Networks. That G, that generative, is the same G from generative AI, Gen AI. Okay? So they are tied together. So you want to Google generative adversarial networks, and these are the conversations I have with my corporate clients, by the way, guys, because that's really what you're talking about. You're talking about generative adversarial networks, which is a form of neural networks, and Gen AI represents an application of generative adversarial networks, right? So You know what? I'm going to leave that as a challenge for all of you. Come back to me at some point. You know what? Put a message into Discord. Let's do it via Discord. If you're really interested and you really want to catch my attention and show me that you want to learn more, go to the Discord and give me an elevator pitch, or give me your short description, your short interpretation of what a GAN is. What is a generative adversarial network? Because if you can get to that answer, you should be able to understand the statement I just told you, that Gen AI is an application of GANs, right? So I'm giving you this as a challenge, because if you meet the challenge, like, the connections are going to start happening in your brain where you're going to say, oh, okay, yeah, that's really just a neural network running that. Okay, I get it, right? So let's put that as a challenge. Do your research, do your own work. No asking ChatGPT, right? You can't ask ChatGPT for this. And then give me an answer on the Discord. If you want to catch my attention, go ahead and do that. Because you really shouldn't be thinking about AI engineer or data science, or I want to be a specialist in this, specialist in that. You're going to do all of it. It's just a different application of it, right? It's just a different way of looking at it, like a different approach of these things. Okay. So come back to me with an answer on that. Put it on the Discord, and that way you're benefiting from it, and others in the community are also benefiting from it. Okay. Okay. So Syed says, I have a question. Recently, I discovered Forage, where we can do virtual internships from top companies and completing tasks. They give certificates. Are they worth it? What's your view on this? Syed, I'm tempted to say that I want to stay in my lane. I only like to talk about the things that I'm knowledgeable about, and I am not knowledgeable on this topic. My advice to you as a friend is just to be careful. A lot of these companies out there are really just, frauds. They're trying to take your money or your personal information in some way. So I really can't speak on this particular site or your particular experience, because again, I only like to talk about things where I can speak intelligently. But just be careful. I'm just advising you as a friend. Be careful. Don't make sure you're not giving information or giving money or things like that. Right. Now, what I will tell you guys is, coming back to the conversation earlier about, trying to find a job in Gen AI and all that. In theory, there should be an increased demand for companies that want human validation done on some of their results, right? Because that's one of the things that really isn't talked about in Gen AI. That to do a proper Gen AI effort, you're going to need a lot of human validation. And I actually have a video on this. I think it's my very, very first video, which means that nobody watched it, right? People underestimate the amount of human effort that you need for some of these LLMs. Because just because you have an LLM doesn't mean it's automatically correct. You have to guide it, right? You have to go through multiple training iterations, maybe update the data, so on and so forth, right? So you really need a huge human validation staff. OpenAI doesn't publish its numbers, but I'm pretty sure that they must have a massive human validation effort, right? Knowing what I know about the industry and the projects that I've led, and I've done plenty of NLP, you're going to need a lot of humans for that validation. So Syed, maybe in the future, there's reasons to remain optimistic that there will be some more human validation jobs that come across. Maybe you'd want to explore some of those opportunities. But again, I really can't advise you on this particular opportunity. I simply don't know enough about it. Okay, but but again, as a friend, I'm just advising you to be careful, to not give too much personal information, and certainly not any money or anything like that. Quantum Rogue, welcome. I don't think I've seen you in the chat, but welcome, my friend. Checking in from Bangalore, India. Oh, good. Glad you're here. Rex, I'm going to come back to your question. Let me just to stay in theme here. Palki says machine learning is statistics on steroids. Maybe. Give me some more on that, Palki. I think that there's some parts of data science that are definitely statistics on steroids, but I don't know if I'd say that about machine learning specifically. There are some aspects of machine learning that are certainly, kind of pumped up statistics. But let me know more of what you mean by that, Palki. Give me a little bit more info there. Okay, so Rex says, I know this is a big topic and not sure it can all be covered as a short answer. Will you cover relevant software engineering principles for data science? Yeah, sure. Sure. Couple things come to mind. A great question, by the way, Rex. A couple things come to mind. One, we're going to cover both of them. The first one is the way you develop a project, right? There's a software development lifecycle, there's a data science development lifecycle. And then two is the deployment side of projects. So I'll start with the deployment side. And by the way, I do cover this in my book for your first year in data science. It's available on Amazon. Because deployment really isn't taught in academia, right? So one of the things you'll find is that as an algorithm gets more mature and you get closer to deployment, you get closer to actually having users on it on a day-to-day basis, it kind of starts to converge to look very much like a software engineering project. Because one of the things you should be doing is you should be taking the time to isolate the prediction cycles of your algorithm and then wrapping it with whatever else you need to make that project, make those predictions run within the greater scope of another software package. So you're going to have your algorithm, all the development that comes with it, all your training cycles. You're going to isolate your prediction cycles, your runtime, and then you're going to wrap that with something else that can be read by another application. So at that point, when you start wrapping it, it's very much like a software project, right? You're preparing a particular class or a particular method that you wrote to be able to be consumed by an API or something else, right? So just to kind of put an example around that, think about like an NLP project, right? NLP projects tend to have these massive training sets and your dictionaries and things like that, right? Your, all the things that come with that, right? Well, you don't need to deploy all of that. You just need to deploy your prediction cycles, right? So you're gonna do all that. You're gonna have your individual methods in class that have your prediction cycles, and in some cases you might need to break that out, right? Because when you're developing and all that, you tend to mix classes. You put multiple classes in the same file, or in some cases your prediction might only be a single method. It might not even be its own class, right? Well, but now you have to break that out, have a class with that one method. But then what? Well, you still need to do your pre-processing. You still need to do your tokenizing. Maybe you're collecting words for your dictionary, right? So now you got to wrap all of that around that one prediction cycle or one prediction method, right? And again, at that point, it's like a software engineering effort. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, Rex. So that was one part. The second part was the development of it, right? I'm a huge fan of methodology when it comes to data science. And again, it's discussed in my book. I lay out methodology in your first year in data science because, again, methodology is not taught in schools. So there's the software development lifecycle, but there's also a data science development lifecycle, the methodology that you follow. So you're going to have your data collection, you're going to have your EDA, you're going to have your visualization. These are all phases and steps, right? Just like the software development lifecycle. They're just different. They're just aimed at data, right? But that approach, that process, that very careful way of developing a project is very much like the SDLC, right? So if you have experience with the SDLC, you'll have experience with that. In addition to that, a good number of software development teams out there run with some sort of agile planning, right, or agile structure to their development. A lot of data science teams have picked up that. I run my teams in an agile way, or at least I try to make it fit. Sometimes agile isn't a perfect fit for data science, but close enough. Like 90-95%, right? So if you know agile, you might be able to step into a data science team and understand like their workflow, their work pace, right? So those are the ones that I see, Rex. You're asking a great question. I hope that answer was beneficial to you. But those are the differences that I see within your within software development and data science development. And also, you're going to have some crossover there. You meet people who are in data science who used to be software developers. That's me. I was a software developer for a long time before becoming a data scientist, and that's helped me. That's served me well. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, Rex. If not, I know you're active in the Discord. Let me know. But yeah, those are the ones I see. All right, guys, remember, if you're still joining us, I still see people on Instagram. Let me know your city, state, province. Just introduce yourself. You don't have to ask anything, or nobody's going to call on you. Just, let us know where you're from. Nazish Mustak, welcome. I don't think I've seen you, so let us know where you're from, Nazish. Hi, Dennis. I wanted to understand if I understand the intuition behind statistics, should the next step be to apply them in guided projects? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Being able to understand how to apply statistics is a huge skill. Huge skill. The value in that is being able to identify what tool you need, right? So it's being able to understand the problem and being able to say, okay, yeah, I can solve that with a z-test. Or, yeah, I can come up with a hypothesis test I need for that. What's my null hypothesis there? What's my alternate hypothesis on that problem, right? How much data do I need? Like, is that something where I need a lot of data? Does it need to be normalized? Being able to have those conversations with yourself after, reading a problem statement or talking to a business person and understanding their business needs, or, something like that, kind of being able to translate that. Oh, okay, I read this article, but here's what the article's really telling me. But here's also what they missed. Let me go do that with my own numbers, my own research. So yeah, Nazish, I'm on board with that. If you do feel like, hey, I got a couple of really good statistics tools that I understand, that I know how to run, that I know the code for, or whatever. Yeah, the next step is absolutely to go out and start finding your own research. And then, if you want the third step is to take what you did, write an article about it, and you're writing it in plain words, right? Not in technical code and formulas, but in plain words, and then post that on LinkedIn and make that part of your resume, of your portfolio. That would be the third step in that process that you're talking about, Nazish. Take what you did, write it in plain words. I want to say plain English, but I know you guys speak a variety of languages, but plain words, plain English. Post it on LinkedIn, and then in your interviews or in your resume or whatever, talk about it and say, yeah, here's some data that I found. I found this on my own. This is the methodology that I applied to it. These are the experiments I decided I needed. This is what the code looks like, and these are my results. That's super valuable for an interview. Like I as a hiring manager would read that prior to you coming in, or prior to seeing if I want to interview you, right? And don't be embarrassed about your results. You don't have to come up with anything amazing. You just have to come up with a reasonable rationale and approach for what you did and how you did it, right? Because a good manager, the managers you want to work for, are going to be looking for rationale, right? They're going to not ignore your conclusions, but your conclusions are going to matter less. You're going to want, it's more about the rationale, right? About how you got to that answer. Because if I'm reading that, again, me as the hiring manager, I can look at that and say, hey, yeah, this person understands the process, they collected a reasonable amount of data. That code looks okay. Yeah, it looks good. I don't care what your answer is at that point, right? I just know that you have a reasonable thought pattern, and I need that on my team. Good data scientists have a good process, right? So Nazish, I hope that helps you, but those are the next steps I would follow. You're on the right track. So take it to that next step of doing it on your own research, your own real world problems. And then the third step, tell me about it, write about it, publish it. Nobody has to read it. And by the way, I'm telling you this because I did it. Nobody read my initial works. I got some traction later on. But initially, I would just publish things that nobody read. But it was still in my portfolio. It was still up on LinkedIn for people to find, right? But this is all important stuff, okay? So I hope that helps you, Nazish. All right, guys, if you're joining us, let us know, again, where you're checking in from, your location and all that. Would love to hear about where you're from. Rex says, thanks for your answer. You're welcome. I hope it helped you, my friend. If not, you know where to reach me on Discord. Io It's Scurv says, your page is really inspiring. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm just sharing what I know, just sharing my experience, sharing my reality. I've been in data science and in technology for a long time, so just sharing what I know. Nazish says, thanks a lot, Dennis. Really helpful. And from India. Okay, great. yeah, let's see. So hang out, feel free to, keep on learning, join the Discord. Maybe you'll pick up some project ideas there. It's the community helping each other. Why am I seeing a different chat on my Instagram? Well, that's weird. Instagram skipped a message. Why is that? So I have to read your message. Okay, so so Io says that you're from Florida and you're currently doing your MS in data science. Sorry, guys, I have to read off another screen because for some reason this screen is failing. That is weird. I don't know what's going on there, but my chat is failing. Krishna says great content, and you're welcome. I'm glad you guys like it. Like, I don't know if anybody even listens to half the stuff I post, but I'm glad that you guys like it. Just happy to share what I know. Benedict Jacob says I'm based out of New Jersey. What part of New Jersey? I just moved back from there. I moved from back there in March. So Benedict, let me look at your other question. Is it still worth learning distributed computation platforms like Hadoop? When today's world we have platforms like stuff. Oh, absolutely. And Benedict, by the way, can you try reposting your question in Instagram? Maybe my chat will catch it so I can post it on the screen. Because if it's not in my chat window, I can't post it on the screen. But Benedict is asking about if it's still worth learning Hadoop when products like Snowflake are available. Absolutely, it's valuable to learn Hadoop. Lots of companies use Hadoop. Lots, right? A lot more than use Snowflake, right? I have friends that work at Snowflake. I assure you that Hadoop is still alive and well. Okay. So, look, guys, never ever get caught up in just following one vendor, or related to that, just following one trend. All right. Always be open to learning other platforms, other approaches. And even the ones that are considered older, right? Because if you follow the people online or whatnot, you kind of get caught up in the waves of thinking, oh well, if Snowflake is new, then everybody must be using Snowflake. Oh, I better get on track with that. Just because a new product comes on board doesn't mean that these big corporate companies, throw away their old stuff and bring it in, right? Like, do you guys know how hard it is to move a data cluster? Like, a data cluster is like a nightmare to move no matter what you're working in, right? Like when I was younger, like more like, not in management, I was more of an analyst. Some of my longest nights, like my 24-hour shifts, were caused by database clusters, right? Like, that will keep you awake at night, literally. Like, it'll keep you working at night, literally. I had so many 24-hour shifts, because of, moving clusters, right? So, a company's not going to say, oh, yeah, that old Hadoop cluster. Yeah, no, we better move it. There's new stuff out there. No, there's still definitely going to be a market for that, right? There's always going to be still upgrades and different things to do with it, right? So, yeah, don't fall into that trap of just thinking like, oh, well, if it's new, then everybody must be using it. So I better learn that. I better pay for the certification course. I better do... No. There's still going to be a market. So there's a lot of companies that still use Hadoop, that still use SQL Server, that still use Oracle, right? People make a big deal of, the new databases and stuff. And it's like, did I miss the memo on SQL Server being terrible? Because SQL Server is still pretty strong. Huge installed base of SQL Server, huge installed base for Oracle, right? That's not just going to go away. You don't just migrate a data cluster from one day to the next, right? I mean, at most large companies that I know, I mean, an upgrade to your cluster is something that takes months and months to plan. A migration of your cluster, that's like a multi-year long project to do that, right? So don't fall into that trap of just knowing that, thinking that it's just going to go away. Data, as she says, never knew that Hadoop is still alive. Oh my gosh. No, my friends. No. Hadoop is very much alive. Lots of companies use it. The last company I worked at uses it extensively. And again, it's not something that companies are just going to... They don't just say, oh, Yeah, let's just take our cluster and let's just move it from one month to the next. Yeah, guys, next month we're not using Hadoop. We're moving the cluster in 1 month. Trust me, that's not the case at all. If you were to ask a big company to move their Hadoop server to something else like a brand new platform, that's easily a 2-3 year project. Easy. Like, that's not something that's going to happen overnight, right? That's not and that's not a decision that's taken lightly, right? That's not a decision that a new vendor wins, quickly, right? Because it's a huge ask, right? And by the way, you can also extend this to other things like the languages they use or the packages that they use. There's still a market for SaaS, right? Lots of people still use SaaS. A huge install base of SaaS out there, right? So yeah, just, don't fall into that trap, guys, okay? Data scientist roadmap, I don't know what that means. I need more clarification, please. Benedict Jacob says, thanks, Dennis. Always appreciative of your insights. Yeah, thank you too, Benedict. You're asking a great question. I love the question. I still don't understand why it didn't show up on my chat. So guys, the way I have it set up is I have my Instagram and all my other social pages on one screen. And then my program, my broadcast software picks it up from those screens. There's like an internal web scraping. But for some reason, it skipped over a couple of questions, Benedict. So it's a good thing I was watching my Instagram. But thanks for the question. Really insightful stuff. Again, don't get caught up in all the latest and greatest. Plenty of Hadoop out there. And apparently you weren't the only one, because Data Ashish also said the same thing. Hadoop is alive and well. It's going to be just fine. Don't you worry. IO It's Curve says, in your opinion, why do you think most people keep saying AI will take data science jobs? Why do people keep saying? Because it's true. It's true, and I agree with it. I have a video on that, and this is a good time to remind you guys that I am doing a live class on Introduction to Statistical Learning. If you don't know this book, you should. This is where professional data science begins. This is a very good book. So I am taking this book and I am honoring the authors. I am building upon their work by doing this in AI. So there is a R version of this book, there's a Python version of this book, and I'm trying to introduce the AI version. I am going chapter by chapter in the classes, and I am showing you how we would do the code in ChatGPT. We did it last week. The session went great. So yeah, that is the future of being a data scientist, where you are going to be using AI tools to help you. If you are a data scientist and or a software developer or a lot of other professions, and you are starting with a blank screen, that's bad. You shouldn't be doing that. Nobody should be starting with a blank screen anymore. You should be starting by looking at the code that AI wrote, and then you edit it. You are going to be a code editor and an architect of code, an architect of data science solutions. You are no longer going to start with a blank screen and start typing away. So they're saying it because it's true. I happen to agree with it. Okay? So yeah. So come join us Sundays. I'm doing it as a live class, 1500 GMT. And the classes are running long. So if you can't join us at the beginning, feel free to come during the second hour, because we are going multiple hours. Or you can catch the replay on YouTube. That one class has now become some of my most popular content, because so many of you are going back there and looking at the replay. So thank you so much for that. It's going to be up there in perpetuity. I'm just going to leave it up there. But you guys can, watch the replay, and, hopefully it helps you. Sunday, 1500 GMT. Emmanuel says, ordered my copy on Thursday. Wonderful. You can also get the PDF on the author's website, statlearning.com. And while you're ordering books, don't forget to order my book, Your First Year in Data Science. I just published it last week, and it helps you make the transition from academia into real-world data science. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing the book, because you can read the book on your own, right? You guys are smart. But I pull out what I think is relevant for the real world. So I kind of break down the chapters into small pieces and give it to you that way and say, yeah, I've used this. You are going to need to know this for your jobs, right? So I try to kind of break it out that way for you guys, because I still expect you to do study on your own. You're not going to be ready for a data science job after the class. You'll have a good foundation to study. But my whole point is to be also able to tell you, yes, this is a good book, and this is specifically what you need to draw from it. Okay? So I hope that helps you. Mamila Shiva, welcome. I don't think I've seen you. I guess did you tell us you were from India? I can't remember. I am a master's statistics student. Which job role should I focus in the data science field? You should focus on what interests you, right? And that's a very personal decision, right? There's, it's good that you're recognizing that there's a lot of things you can focus on later. Do you want to do NLP? Do you want to do computer vision? Do you want to do, Gen AI? Whatever the case may be. But it's up to you. That's a personal decision. You're going to have to take some time for reflection to figure out what you want to do. Okay? I have started learning the ISL book. What should I learn alongside? Come to the class. It's tomorrow, 1500 GMT, and I'll tell you exactly what you need from the book. And you can see how we are writing the code with Gen AI tools, because that's what I think you're going to need. You're going to need to know how to prompt Gen AI, and then also how to edit that code. Look, as an example, last week when we did this class, we saw ChatGPT make a very basic mistake in the code it gave us. The code was like 98% right, but it made a basic mistake that we had to fix. So you're still going to have the knowledge to be able to catch those and fix them. But the skill you should be learning alongside is the prompt engineering that you're going to need to be able to say, oh, wait a minute, this code is not quite there. Let me go ahead and fix that. And then you're also going to need the skills to be able to determine the objects that you need. You're going to need to sit at a meta level and say, okay, this is what the client wants. This is what it means in code. These are the classes I'm going to need. They need to talk this way. I'm going to tie them this way. The API is going to come in from this side. You're still going to need to know all that, right? So that's how you'll be working. So that's what you should be learning alongside the ISL book and your master studies and things like that. Okay, so I hope that helps you, Mamila. Oh man, it's happening again. I see another question. What is happening? Hey guys, it looks like that's the second question that I'm missing on my chat. So if you're in YouTube, if you're in Instagram and I missed your question, I'm so sorry. That was not intentional. My chat window is acting up this morning. I think I better update it. But let me get your question here, Ujwalred. Let me see if I can get your question. Give me just a second. Okay, so Ujwalred asked, hey, started reading the book you recommended. Personally, it felt hard to learn all statistics from machine learning. But this book is so smooth, ISLR. Sorry, I guess I don't... Okay, there you are. For some reason, that came in really late. Hey, started reading the book. I'm sorry, are you talking about two different books? I don't know if you're talking about two different books there. Because you say that the ISLR book is smooth, so is that different than the other one you were saying was harder? Help me understand that. I'm not sure I fully understand your question, my friend. But yeah, right now I recommend two books, right? The ISL book, come on Sundays. I'll show you how to do the ISL AI version, right? We're going to do AI. And then your first year in data science, it's my book. I think, I spent a lot of time to produce a quality product for you guys. It's in color. But I hope that helps you both. The ISL book will help you on the technical side, and my book will help you on the real world side to help you make that transition into actually working with the data science team and all that. Okay? All right, guys. So I think I need to do some updates and work on my setup. So this feels like a good place to stop the stream. But thank you so much for spending time with me. Come back tomorrow, 1500 GMT. It's my live class for the ISL book. It's good. We had a lot of fun last time. I throw out questions to the chat, and the chat was responding with great answers. So come on back tomorrow. We're going to have a good time. You're going to learn some things, and we'll go from there. But again, thank you so much. It's really warm out there, so stay cool. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.